May I begin? Okay. I'd like for you to imagine yourself a new generation. One that is not flawed with the same things that the previous generation was. One that is not only smarter, but also more culturally accepting and aware. A new generation that is bilingual, that can speak more than one language, would be shown not only to do better academically, but socially as well. That would be a generation under more immersion, Spanish immersion schools. Spanish immersion schools should be expanded for the following three reasons. First, they produce students with better test scores. Second, they produce students that are more culturally aware and culturally accepting. And lastly, because they produce bilingual students that are likely to delay the age of the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. Which brings me to my first point, which is that Spanish immersion schools produce students with better test scores. Now in these schools, students are exposed to both Spanish and English, making them bilingual. Now there has been a lot of research done and a lot of things in the media which point us and show us that students and people in general that are bilingual tend to be smarter and increase their capacity for intelligence. Now, according to a study done by the École Bilingue de Berkeley, which is an immersion school in California, students that are bilingual tend to do better on both the SAT, and other standardized tests. Now, this data was collected by a graduating class a few years ago, and their test results were compared to the national average of the United States. Now, students that go to this school come from all socioeconomic backgrounds and all ethnic backgrounds. The students, upon entering, take an entrance exam to determine their placement as well. And it also determines how much financial aid they get. And students score a wide range on these tests, which shows that these are not students that would automatically be smarter and get better test scores anyways. Now on to the second point, which is that opening up more Spanish immersion schools would increase the cultural awareness and cultural acceptance within the next generation. Now again, within these schools, not only do they learn the language, but they also learn the culture. Now, according to Julie Landsman's book entitled A White Teacher Talks About Race, students that are aware of another culture are more than 72% more likely to accept it and be tolerant of it than those who don't know much about the culture at all. These are the same problems that plagued us back in the 50s and 60s with racism, simply because one culture didn't know much about the other. Now on to the third and final point, which is that being bilingual can actually delay the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. Now again, as I was saying before, these schools produce students that are bilingual, that are proficient in Spanish and English, which automatically means that they will be bilingual upon leaving the school. According to a study done by a neuropsychologist from the University of California, San Diego, those who are more proficient in more than one language or more resistant to the symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's as they grow older. Now the patients in this study were Spanish to English bilinguals, although there have been multiple studies done by other languages as well which produce the same results, showing that it is not just limited to Spanish and English. Now in review, I'm giving you three reasons to expand Spanish immersion schools. The first being that they produce better students. The second, that they produce students that are more culturally aware and accepting. And lastly, because being bilingual can actually delay the onset of Alzheimer's and dementia. Now, these are all great reasons to vote to expand Spanish immersion schools. But again, imagine, do we want a generation that is similar to the old one, plagued with the similar problems, and one that relies on top schools to compete with other countries, one that is ignorant of other cultures, in which racism continues to occur? Or do we want a new generation, one that is more advanced, one that is more accepting, one that is more smart, and one that can actually delay mental health problems at a later age? That would be a generation under Spanish immersion schools, and that is why they should be expanded. Thank you.